So yeah, first we're gonna have Jack Burman. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm going to try reading some things, which isn't always that palatable, but I'll try. Like Mr. Chung and Mr. Larry, I've been involved for an extended time with human dead and their remains. In my case, it was only 20 years. But here comes the upfront disclaimer. Unlike them, and despite the title of today's panel, Business of Death, I've had no close involvement in any business activity related to this, with two very limited exceptions that I should mention. Occasionally, a small artist's fee is connected to an exhibition of my work, as Kim knows is the case in this past month here at TDW. And occasionally a museum or private collector purchases limited edition prints through my gallery representative. But over the 20 years, such fees and purchases have offset approximately a quarter of my costs, which is no way to run a business. Of course, in my heart, I know this is a good thing. It should be this way, and I'm good with it. I hope it continues. But thus I can say I come at this work from a very different aspect, certainly than Mr. Chung's, in some ways than Mr. Larry's. A non-business aspect, which could be not a bad thing for this town or extending its reach and diversity. There is, however, one aspect that does join all three of us somewhat, which is mentioned in today's press release also. It's the, quote, institutional context in which all three of us do our work. And I assume this is one reason why Ulysses, whom I met today, asked me to sit in with you today. Just as Mr. Chung and Mr. Larry work in the funerary industry, I do most of my work on the premises of the university industry in, say, Europe or Latin America. But again, I have to stake out a separate, insidious ground for my interest and my role. The Latin root of institute means to establish or set up, as in a commercial funerary enterprise, or a school of higher medical teaching and research. However, death for me in its purest form is a disestablishment, a setting down, and thus the essence of non-institutional. Nevertheless, within the institutions I visit, I like the cool, precise quiet in a medical faculty professor of pathology, or in a specimen sorting, or in a dissection team that work on a cadaver. Scientific study of the body and death, based essentially in mathematics, applies the strictest logic to what many of us find is void of all logic: a dead woman, or man or child. My tools of labor, view camera, costly optics, and light meter, built to very extreme and fine tolerances, are based essentially in mathematics, so I can work with the data to evoke what's most passionate, most primitive and sensual. As with the professor of pathology I just mentioned, my postgraduate degrees were gained in the service of a fairly rigorous scholarship, though not in medical science. Still, the methods and standards of scholarship are interdisciplinary and universal, so that he or she and I almost always find an immediate ease with each other, though we've met only moments before, and despite my broken Spanish or German. There's another troubling difference, though, or it seems a difference, in their work and mine. A medical scientist's interest in dead specimens is strictly geared to service of the living. It's not an investigation of death, but of forces, molecular, cellular, viral, that threaten life. It's life-giving in the most obvious and socially esteemed way. However, my work isn't consciously intended as primarily benevolent in any way, only as truthful. Thus, it's proper that I'm only a guest for a limited period at each institution, and then must leave. Before I leave this opening statement, let me bring in another voice to cover my retreat. A man that worked on whaling vessels in the mid-19th century, and I wrote a book about it, was struck by the nature of the harpooneer's highly practiced method and function. His was the essential function of the entire complex industry, of course, the killing function. Herman Melville, the writer, observed how the harpooneer needed somehow to master a stance of extreme physical stillness. In a small chase boat, shaken by ocean swells and the whale's desperation, the mightiest animals' death throes, in order to make his successful killing throw. The greatest action, the greatest violence, Melville wrote, must arise out of the greatest stillness. While I don't find any simple, socially beneficent logic in my work with the camera, I've held to this claim of Melville's, that the greatest, most powerful action of meaning, however violent, arises out of a woman or man in the stillness of death. Woo.